Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Church Planting Discussions with AOG. I am Misheck and I have some amazing people around the table, and we have a big subject to talk about right now. Are we all called to church planting, or is church planting for a specific few people who are risk takers? We have some amazing people around the table to talk through how we can explore that conversation a bit more. Ben, start us off.
There's no quick answer to the question. I think there's a good tension, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's called. The Great Commission is for us all to go and make a difference in our world.
Yeah.
We've planted a number of churches over the last few years, but we never felt called to be church planters because I thought all church planters were strange, and then I became one, and then realised I better adopt that. But so we didn't feel called, therefore, to be a church planter. We felt called to be a pastor who made a difference in the community, and we stayed open to the leading of the Holy Spirit. And that meant that God opened our eyes to another town, another opportunity to stand in the gap on behalf of that town. And we said, okay, well, we don't want to say no to the leading of God to make a difference. So it looks like we're church planters. So it took us by surprise, but that became this journey of planting churches right across the north of England. And now I'm so glad we're part of that adventure.
And I think the thing is that once we start a church, it becomes a focus of our whole lives. And we absolutely spend our whole lives building that church. But we stop asking the question, God, is there somewhere else you want us to go?
Yeah, that's true.
And once a church grows, like we're only 9 years old and we're ready to plant another church. And if every pastor would say, Lord, is there anywhere else you want us to go? I'm sure that God would say, you know what? Now you ask.
That's so key, man.
And we need to ask the right. And the problem is we don't ask the questions.
Yeah, I think, my husband and I, we've not necessarily ever considered ourselves, our calling to be church planters or a campus planter from a bigger church. But we've been under that vision for decades, years and years. And so when the opportunity came, it was what you said. We know we're called to go.
Right.
So we've got to go. And there's not really an excuse because we've surrendered our lives to God. We know that His calling is on us. So this is what's before us, and this is what we're going to do.
You know, when I hear your story, Miriam, and others, I recognise how important it is for there to be a shift in our churches. That for all of us, for as Christians, as church leaders, we are constantly encouraging the people in our churches. We are all behind church planting, whether we are going, whether we are financially sowing into church plants, actively praying as churches for church plants, encouraging church planters. It's not, we are not a church planting church, it's how are we a church planting church? And I think that there needs to be a shift there.
And one of the encouraging things we've found is even small things like if you're on holiday and there's a church plant near you, visit that church plant. And there's so much simple things that churches can activate their people and say, if you're going on holiday, find a local church plant you can go to, because for that church planter, it's so encouraging because it's not just the one person that's in your church. There's another church out there championing church planting, and you feel so encouraged.